Alright everyone, welcome to finally round one of the Trackstars TS3 Touring Car Championship. It's been a very long pre-season and then going through some issues and stuff like that, and then obviously we had our Formula season that just finished up 2 weeks ago, but we're finally here in our lovely combox all the way in Croatia, and as always joined in the combox with me, I've got N-Spud P666.
Yes, good evening, good afternoon, everyone. It's finally great to be back here in the Combox alongside yourself, DJ, and we're bringing our touring car season back up and running. So our boys here are very excited to get this season underway. I know I've been very excited to get the TS3 touring cars underway because, man, I love these cars. Whether it's GT Sport or even on GT7, these cars are phenomenal cars to drive, and they feel so nice. Bit of weight on them and a bit of grunt. It brings out that old V8 style of racing where it's not V6 any like high pitched turbos. It's all just V8 muscle. But we've got our drivers here. We've got a few familiar names joining us back on the grid this evening. We've got the likes of our WRT boys coming back and bringing in some new drivers like Hustle NZ and Tormentor and a few others coming back. So it's great to see WRT still showing some support. In the TS3 categories, we had the champion in Warpath 360, last year's champion in Warpath 360, make the move up into TS2. So we can't wait to see what he does. But DJ, I'm very excited for TS3, and we've got a few new drivers in as well.
Yeah, we do have a few new drivers that have signed up in the last probably week or so. But just going on to the WRT guys, it looks like they've had a bit of a change of colour. So they've gone, looks like the black, red and white here. So it's definitely something different, as we see Gordok just put it in the sand there at turn 2. So yeah, that's obviously different from their typical black and yellow colour schemes. Obviously still sponsored by Straight Edge Excavations in Melbourne. So it's yeah, definitely good to see these WRT boys back. Also, we've got the M&R guys. So I believe it's Motorsport Network Racing. Stand to be corrected by SS Boy.
Yep. No, it is Motorsport Network Racing.
Yeah, as you said, you guys coming through. Obviously, we got Kamari Kid. It is his debut season, as well as Meat and Cheese Pie, who, from the looks of it, with that big MSR on the back of it, you've signed yourself. So it'll be a one to watch. I think he's fielding a very sleek and very kind of subtle chrome and black Steel City MSR racing there. So obviously it'd be good to see what some of these new guys can go. We've got Rick Reen as well. CP Flatstick, who's the series manager in Chase, so it'll definitely be good to see what he can do. So he's looking to be racing full time in TS3 this year, so that's good to see.
Yeah, exactly. We've got a few good names in here joining us in the new series. Like you've said, we've got Meat and Cheese Pie, who have just recently signed up in the Rubber Sport Racing TS3 Championship, and also Rick Green as well. He's the one of the series admins for our sister league in Trailblazers, who run their racing leagues daily during the weeks. Their Tuesday one-make series and their Thursday Group 4s and Friday Group 3 racing. So we have very good connections with Trailblazers, and with Rick Green especially repping out the Triple R. And I don't know if you know this, DJ, but obviously on his bonnet you'll be able to see the number 18, and on the rear as well. That was because, unfortunately, over the past few weeks, there was unfortunately one of the members and one of the drivers from Triple R in Trailblazers, WJF 18. Unfortunately, he lost his life a few weeks ago. So a bit of an illness, and he lost his life a few weeks ago. And they put on a lovely tribute for WJF, and all the Trailblazers community dearly miss him. And obviously, here at Trackstars, we send our condolences to him and his family, and we wish his family all the best throughout the recovery stages.
Yeah, it's not good when you see obviously a fellow racer obviously lose their life to anything really, or anyone in the world. It's kind of really a bit of a hard thing, but it's good that we might see the communities coming together. So it's good to see that we've got some fellow racing series drivers jumping over to us, and then obviously some of us racing their league. So it's pretty good there. But he had a bit of a sketchy run there through the chicane, but he was lucky to pull it off. So luckily for these guys, they don't have damage, so they'll be running no damage. So we won't see any engine damages or massive pile-ups with a lot of damage going through the death chicane. But as the coming through here, we'll take a bit of a on board here with Rick for this beautiful seaside circle so you can see everything.
So essentially, it's like a triangle configuration where there's only 4 major braking zones. This is one of them. We've already went past through the chicane here, so this is the second part. It's kind of like a triangle in a way, so you got the tip of each of the circuits which represent the braking zones. But as we go with Rick Green in the Triple R Motorsport number 69, coming through the S's here, it's basically a little bit of a lift off and then just all flat out through all these corners. Try and take that inside. Try and hug those curvings as much as you can, but don't take too much or don't go over it, because otherwise the car will have a bit of reaction. Coming down towards the hill, you're going to get a very nice view of the Adriatic Sea there, but you don't get to see it for too long because you will be focusing on a braking point into the second part of the triangle. And then coming through this infamous death chicane, DJ, I know you and I and many other drivers around the GT community, we know how this chicane is like, and obviously our TS3 drivers know the same. But it looks like Rick Green has gone through that, negotiated that through nicely. On the left, you can still see the Adriatic Sea, and then as soon as that passes by, you're coming up towards the final corner. Very crucial. It's very traction. Very traction heavy, that corner. So you have to try and make sure you get a good traction and try and take as much of that inside line. And as we get through to the line here, we'll set a purple lap there with a 1:28. So nice job by Rick Green and for the Triple R Motorsport driver.
Yeah, that was a very solid lap there. Just as they go 1 minute there, so he's put himself on a pretty considerable margin with that 28.7. So he's got Gordok in P2, which is also a bit of a surprise considering in practice Gordok was a little bit down the pace. So maybe jumping into quali, he's kind of put his head down, tighten the belts up, saying, "Look, mate, I need to put this car in the front row." And at the moment, it looks like he's sitting here. So unfortunately, we also had Isuzu Brian in here, but as per the classifications for TS3, you have to be a B driver classification or below. So he's an A, so unfortunately we've had to move him into TS2, so we'll see him a little bit later on. But we've got Hustle in third, Meat and Cheese Pie in fourth, and we've got Venti in fifth place. So trying to see what Venti can do here in the TS3 series to see if we can kind of elevate him and put him under our wing a little bit more in the touring cars and see what he can do. But as they're coming across now, I'll put checkered flag, so they're just finishing up.
Exactly, and it's good to see some of the main drivers, or the main teams in the Trackstars Racing Series field out drivers in TS2 and TS3. So for like It's Racing, you've got yourself Venti, you've got Latergate, I've got myself Meat and Cheese Pie, who actually has put his car up into second place there. So on that last lap of his, he did a really good job, and obviously enough to put him into second place. He's a little bit off the pace behind Rick Green, but obviously qualifying is one thing, but the race pace is something else. But yeah, obviously you've got Meat and Cheese for the MSR guys, and you've got Fly Balding in the RoboSport Racing Camp, and then Chase as well, CP Flatstick, also hanging out with CP guys. So it'd be nice to get some, it's really nice to see some of the main teams in Trackstars field at least one car in both divisions, and it gets them, gets the whole crew energized and motivated to say, like, we've got a great series coming up, and this is the perfect starting ground in TS3.
Yeah, obviously that's the reason we didn't have many drivers last season at the start, and then we started getting a real flood into TS2 kind of probably maybe 2 or 3 rounds in, and then we're like, well, what can we do here? Because there was a lot of drivers who were a little bit off the pace there, and we're like, well, they're a little bit disadvantaged and stuff like that, what can we do? And we just thought, well, why don't we just bring in a bit of a third division race? So that's what we did for these guys. They are using the 08 cars, and I'll tell you what, mate, these cars sound absolutely fantastic. I do love that Lexus, mate. Where is it? Here it is. So that Lexus, that grunty V8, mate, that nothing beats that for me. But I don't know about you, but I'd definitely pick the Lexus if it was me.
Oh, absolutely. I'm definitely a Lexus boy for sure. So I'm really happy. There's only at least there's one Lexus. You might see another one coming in maybe in the next week or so when I've got my other driver in the MSR camp driving the Lexus. So we'll have to wait and see if he can get himself into the spot, into the main series, into the TS3 series. But yeah, I'm actually surprised to see the actual the layout of the field. Though it's very Nissan dependent, because I think you could say in a way that Nissan is a little bit more stable and a little bit more of a reliable car compared to the Honda, say, and then the Lexus. Maybe just some people don't really know how to drive the Lexus or the Hondas properly, and everyone's just said, you know what, it's going to be a majority of the field are picking the Nissans, and whether it's their first time league racing with us or first time driving these cars, maybe they just took the safe route and saying, you know, well, let's pick the Nissan instead of the other cars.
Yeah, I mean, the latest update that we had during the week, how they adjusted the suspension model and the tyre model, it definitely heavily put the MR cars at a bit of a disadvantage in the GR2. Apparently the GR3 MR cars are very massively, like, at a massive advantage at the moment. So compared to obviously your FR cars, they're going to behave differently anyway. But yeah, with the new suspension one, it's definitely taken a toll on these GR2s, and myself included. I don't know about some of the other guys. It's definitely made me pick my brain as to how I'm going to kind of get the speed out of the car, and it's kind of really done a bit of a 180 on my setup that I had during the week. So it's a bit unfortunate, but that's obviously, I guess, the point of adapting to the situation and all that kind of jazz. So I'll just remind these guys that they don't have to do a mandatory pit stop, because there was a bit of an error in the driver's briefing. So after that one, we will get this race underway.
Exactly right. So 13 drivers join us tonight here for the opening round of the Trackstars TS3 Touring Car Championship, where we'll have Rick Green from the Triple R Motorsport starting on pole position, with Meat and Cheese Pie from Steel City MSR in second, and Gordok 69 in third place. We've got 13 drivers here, all ready to go, all starting there, all getting themselves lined up, and as we get ourselves underway for the Croatian Grand Prix for race 1 of Trackstars TS3 Touring Cars. So here we are at the wonderful Dragon Trail Seaside in Croatia for the Croatian Grand Prix for the TS3 Touring Car Championship. 5.2 kilometers, 17 corners, located near the Adriatic Sea. It is Rick Green versus Meat and Cheese Pie, Gordok and Hustle, the two WRT boys right behind us. Those lights go out. It is lights out, green flag racing. Rick Green's got himself a really good start. The cars behind are just trying to get themselves sorted out and underway. But looks like going into turn 1, Rick Green in for Triple R is going to take the lead ahead of Meat and Cheese Pie. Hustle is trying to go for an inside move on Meat and Cheese Pie. Looks like we've got Gator going in really deep, late on the brakes there. All the cars have gone off, DJ. It's a bit of a chaotic start, and this is what TS3 is all about. People just trying to learn about each other, and my goodness, we've had a chaotic start for race 1.
Yeah, it looks like someone went really deep on the brakes there, and they took out what looks to be pretty much half the field. So that'll definitely be one to look at there. As Tormenta goes around, that's very unfortunate. They got a tyre on the grass. So yeah, it looks like someone went really deep on the brakes there and killed kind of half the field, which is a bit unfortunate. But they'll definitely have the stewards on their toes regarding that one on a post-race investigation. But oh, Cowboy.
Oh, Cowboy's gone a little bit too wide there, and that's put him in the gravel trap. That's one of the big problematic areas that you can have around this track, is that you go a little bit too wide or you hit a curbing, especially through those S's. It's going to really put you off, and the car won't really respond well when he takes those curves. But so far we've got Rick Green from the Triple R's. Venti's actually gone through the dash chicane. He's just whacked the wall there. He needs to be very careful when it comes to the re-entry, as we see some more cars. And oh my goodness, race 1 here for TS3 has not gone the way as it should be. And wow, we can even see Gordok 69 there. He's almost flying, levitating in the air.
That's incredible. Hey, this is just wow. What we've got Fly balding here in the pits. Maybe he was either pushed in there. I'm not too sure what happened, but that's just been a massive lap 1 mess. Wow, that's incredible.
A crazy lap.
These guys are lucky they don't have any damage on. Wow.
Yeah, and I'm not so sure, maybe flyboarding didn't get the memo that you just posted in the chat there. There's no pit stops flyboarding, so just make sure you keep an eye on that. But yes, but so far we've got Kamara Kid in second place, so he's come out of nowhere. And then we've got SS Boy DJ, so he's come from the back of the grid all the way up into third place, so that's pretty good. A nice showing for M&O and SS Boy, and obviously he's only lap 2 of 10, so we'll have to wait and see how long that run goes for SS Boy, but it's a decent start for the number 40.
Yeah, obviously last year SS Boy had a bit of a hard running, didn't really get too many good results. So maybe he's kind of come through in a bit of an off season, kind of worked on his driving a little bit there, trying to make himself a bit faster. But he has actually gone to a change of manufacturer as well, because last year he was in the Lexus, so they've gone from Lexus to Honda, all the M&R boys. So even that might be a bit to get his head around. But yeah, he's currently in the fight here with Kamara Kid and Meat and Cheese Pie. They're all tussling and stuff like that for position. But make one mistake here, mate, and you'll go off.
And he's about to make a move on Kamara Kid onto the inside here. So will he go for that move? He does, and he's done a very nice, well executed move there on Kamara Kid. Caught him napping there, just plucked it on the inside, but Kamara Kid's got the traction. Thanks to that Nissan GTR, it's very heavily traction dependent on that car. It doesn't really step out like the Honda, but the Honda's got a little bit more top end, I'd say, or maybe Kamara's got a little bit more on that Nissan. But coming into the chicane here, looks like Kamara's going to go for an outside move. Yes, he does. So beautiful racing by our drivers here. Kamara Kid still holds on to second place with SS Boy in third and Meat and Cheese Pie in fourth. So Rick Green is running away so far with this race. He's coming up through to the S's now, and these boys are about to hit the first part of this triangle section. As we see a car go wide, it is Kamara Kid. So he's run a little bit wide there, whether he got escorted out or ran a little bit too deep, we're not so sure. But SS Boy has now moved himself up into second, and Meat and Cheese in third, Kamara in fourth, and Hustle, who also started in that top 3, is now down to fifth there. But the guy I'm really surprised about is Gordok 69. He started, I think, fourth in that race in the qualifying, and he's all the way down the field as well. So not the greatest start for the WRT boys this evening, but obviously it's been one race, and I think these guys are starting to learn from each other now, and fingers crossed that race 2 becomes a little bit cleaner on the race starts.
Yeah, definitely. It's a bit hard going into a new season, obviously having new drivers, because you don't really know how they drive, where obviously main series doesn't really kind of have that problem, because it's really the same drivers, give or take, over the past probably 1 or 2 seasons here. But it's good kind of as an entry level, so you can kind of work on your racecraft and stuff like that. But I'm also surprised on NZL Cowboy here, so I think he started right near the back. But look at Venti, mate, he's back on the charge. He dropped all the way down to the back, and now he's coming back through here, battling for this 10th, 9th and 10th position. So maybe he's kind of strapped those belts down and saying, hang on guys, look at me, look at this, what I can do. So he's gained 2 positions in that last lap, so it's very, very good there from Venti. So
very nice from our friend in Venti. And as I see up the top there, Meat and Cheese Pie has gotten ahead of SS Boy, so he must have made a move on the final corner or on the main straight. So he is now back up into second place, but well off the pace, 15.3 behind Rick Green there. So I think this race might be a dud for Rick Green, but so for Meat and Cheese Pie, we'll have to think about trying to come up with a better game plan for race 2. But at least he's got himself ahead of SS Boy and Kamara Kid, and can start to stretch his legs out a little bit while these guys battle it out. But Kamara Kid's got Hustle and NZ on his inside. Kamara Kid lets him through. Hustle's got a little bit of a wiggle on there, and just going side by side, coming in through to the chicane here. Oh, I'm not liking the looks of this, DJ, as they get a bit of contact there, and looks like Hustle has gone through. A little bit of contact made, but Hustle has to brake because he's got a little bit too deep, and these boys are still fighting it out side by side. It's some great racing action there. The boys don't know which way they're going, left or right, but it looks like Hustle's going to take that inside and Kamara's going to take the outside line. Will he be able to hold around the outside? It looks like he might be able to. Will Hustle give him the space? He does, but decides to hang back behind Hustle. So Kamara drops back from 3rd to 5th there, and it's a pretty good racing with some of the guys here. But as like you said, they need at least another race, or even a couple more rounds to understand how they learn from each other about their driving style.
Yeah, certainly, and obviously being the BOP no tune, the cars are a lot different as well in the physics, because obviously we've gone to GT7, so not only the update has kind of played with everyone's head, the actual physics itself, going from sport.
Betsy. Keep it steady, mate. Yes, Racing 31 just got for a Tokyo drift through the corners there. My goodness, great save then, mate.
Yeah. Well, as we say that, we see Chase get a little bit hairy when they come out. But yeah, so the physics are actually a lot different to what they were on GT Sport. So the cars are a lot easier to drive. You can kind of really, what did they say? You can try to lick the stamp and send it a little bit more. So a bit unfortunate that we can't kind of do that. And that latest update's really kind of targeted the aggressive drivers. So you can't really send the car as much. You kind of got to look after the tyres a bit more. And another one as well is the dirty air. The dirty air really affects how the car handles. Whether it going through, you get a lot of understeer and stuff like that. But thankfully for these guys, they don't have to worry about tuning. We do have it on balance of performance and tuning off, so we let the game do all that kind of stuff. So really essentially,
well, we were actually very close to actually allowing these guys to play around with the tuning on, but unfortunately, because we can't really police. Or we can't look to the specifications of how these drivers are supposed to, keep their weight or keep their minimum without cheating. So that's why we managed to say, let's just keep it at the BOP, no tuning, and just give these guys a little bit of more freedom. Just jump in the car, race, as we see Gordok make a nice move on Venti going into the chicane there. But yeah, I think these guys just need to, understand the car. They've had a full couple of weeks actually, because we pushed the season a little bit 1 week forwards, and it gives these guys a couple of weeks just to understand the cars, learn the tracks. And so far for Rick Green and Mean Cheese and SS Boy, as I say that, Rick Green has gone through the chicane there, and he's gone full 360, and my goodness, he's going to take a while, but we'll have to keep an eye on Mean Cheese Pie DJ. I wonder where he is. He's coming up to a death chicane right now. Will he be able to execute that cleanly? He does. So I wonder what the gap is coming into the final corner, but that was a heart-and-mouth moment for the Triple R Motorsport driver.
Yeah, definitely. That's, I think, not even just for him. I think it was a heart-and-mouth moment for me. Like, I know how it feels to miss your mark on that chicane. You've got one shot and one shot only, and it's if you make your line wrong, it's very hard to get it pulled back from that. But he's pulled that gap down to 4.9 seconds, so it's look as he's lost about 12 seconds in doing that. So
and that's crazy. Like, you'd think for Rick just to say, I've got myself a really good gap. I think he decided to push it a little bit too much there, and even now Meat and Cheese Pie, you could just see him in the background there just before they got into the double right-hander. He can actually now see the rear of Rick Green's car, that black and green and a bit of red on the back end of that Nissan GTR. But I'm going to give really honourable mentions to SS Boy. He's doing an excellent job with that Honda. Obviously a little bit one of the most taily cars out there amongst the GR2 2008 GT500s. But he's doing a really good job. He's holding a bit of, he's probably holding up Tormentor up a little bit through this S section. I think Tormentor with the better tyres, as he tries to negotiate that curbing. I'm surprised he didn't put it into the wall there, DJ. That was a bit close for SS Boy, but as I say that, he's now back down into 4th place. But I'll give raps to the guy. He's done a very good job. He's trying to go for an inside move. Tormentor's gone a little bit too deep. He reclaimed 3rd place there. And my goodness, we've got some great racing going along here for 3rd place with SS Boy, Tormentor, and Hustle NZ.
Yeah, that's definitely some good racing going on. They're giving each other room, obviously considering the lag as well. They're taking that into account, getting a hold of how each other races. So that's definitely a good thing to see, that they're getting used to that. And also SS Boy with the Honda as well. So he's definitely...
he's run a little bit wide there, and he hasn't been able to negotiate that. And all the look at the amount of Nissans he's got. He's got 1, 2, and 3 Nissans right behind him, and they're all going to be vying for that 3rd place. You've got Tormentor, you've got Hustle, you've got Flyboarding, all vying for 3rd place for race 1 in the TS3 Championship. Looks like SS Boy's going for a move. He just can't get it. He's just trying to fend off from Tormentor, and he gets pushed a little bit wide there, but they're going to go side by side to the right-hander. Who's going to back out first? I don't think Tormentor's going to back out of it. He's just, and Flyboard is coming behind. Great racing amongst our drivers. He's going for a switchback, and contact's been made between Flyboarding and SS Boy. Then Flyboarding goes from 6th to 4th there. So good hard racing, boys, but maybe a little bit too much on Boarding's end, maybe a little bit too much contact on his end to SS Boy, and that's dropped him down all the way to 6th place. But I guess you could say in a way those tyres on the Honda is not really playing to SS Boy's hands with that tail end really stepping out a lot.
Yeah, from what I can see here, obviously I'm not too sure if you can see it, but the Honda's using both tyres a lot more than what the Nissan and stuff is. But we also have to remember, Flyboarding did pit as well on lap 1 or lap 2, so he's worked his way up to 4th, hence why he's got a bit more tyres. So I don't know if that might be a bit of a thing to do, but would you kind of pit on lap 2 and take the time and use the tyres? But what
I think he just made a mistake. I don't think he saw. Maybe he just didn't see your message about the bit with the no pit stop. So because that looks like a little bit of an error on his end. SS Boy looks like he's dropped himself all the way down to 7. So I think his tyres are gone. He just needs to try and survive. It's basically survival mode for SS Boy there. But yeah, I think with Flyboarding, he must have just made a mistake there. Maybe just didn't read the message about no pitting. But we'll have to wait and see what his strategy was at the end of the race. But unfortunately for CP Flatstick, he's not really having himself a great time in that Honda NSX. Obviously, Woodsy hasn't been helping him out much there, DJ. He hasn't been able to help. He's not helping him out. Apparently, Woodsy not helping out the team boss there. So I'm not so sure why Woodsy's not helping him out. And saying, you're giving me a car, you give me a championship. The least I could do for you is help you out drive that 08 Honda NSX. But he's like saying, nah, I'm not doing that for you, mate.
Yeah, I do like that Honda myself, but yeah, maybe Woodsy might need to jump in there with Chase. And I did see as well, because Chase used to be on a wheel, and he's actually on the DS5, so he has had some medical issues in the past, and he's had to sell his rig. So unfortunately, he's on the DS5, so maybe he's getting a bit used to that and how the car handles and like throttle application and all that kind of stuff. Obviously, you, myself, Woodsy, Lunacy, all that kind of stuff, we've kind of really been on the DS5 or DS4 for a little bit, so we know how sensitive it really can be. So it's a bit unfortunate there seeing him down in 13th place, but I'll definitely be wanting to watch him through the season and him getting his head around how the controller works, because you as well as myself know driving compared to a wheel than what you do on a controller, it's totally and utterly different. Like, you've got to drive the car completely different, and how it handles and all that kind of stuff. So maybe Woodsy might give him a bit of a helping hand and see what he can do. But other than that, we've gone final lap. Spud here, looks like I might have lost Spud, but
sorry, I had myself muted there. I was just saying, Rick Green is just coming down through the death chicane, and he's gone through that very nicely, obviously not going 360, but on his debut outing for Trackstars Racing Series and for the TS3 touring cars, it is Rick Green for the Triple R Motorsport camp, taking the victory on line honours here for race 1 of round 1 in the TS3 Touring Cars Championship for season 2022. So great, so big congratulations to Rick Green. Meat and Cheese Pie comes through for the Steel City MSR guys in 3rd place with Hustle NZ on his debut as well. So we've got 3 debutants on the podium, and with Flyboarding as well, Renegade in the top 5. So one of the older heads of the TS3 boys in 5th place, so from last place to 5th, so that'll be one for Renegade to be happy about, starting from last. Tormentor as well, one of the experienced guys in TS3 in 6th, with SS Boy in 7th, and Gordok 68th. That was a really big surprise by Gordok. They've not had the best race in Map 1, obviously starting P4 and now drops down to P8, so a lot of work for Gordok to do. Venti SS Gaming comes through after that massive moment down the chicane in the early parts of the race, lap 2 or 3, in 9th place, and Latergator in the Lexus It's Racing Esports camp in 10th.
Yeah, it was definitely a good race there from Renegade, and I'll obviously give credit where credit's due. He has pushed through the field and kind of kept his head down and pulled off with the top 5 finish there. So that's a big ups there to Renegade. Seeing him up there in the top 5. So we got Cowboy coming across the line as well, and then CP Flapstick coming past as well. So bit up and down there for the racing. Seeing drivers not used to how each other are and stuff like that. So we'll definitely be one to see. next time and how it's going to be and what they're going to do in race 2. But big congratulations here to Rick Green getting his first win on debut. So that's a big hefty chunk of points that I know I probably would have wanted on my first race. So that's a good thing. But as we have a little bit of a 5-minute break here, we have some people in chat there. We've got Jarman Dalitz, who is the owner of Trackstars in It's Racing, saying call him June Leaper. He's levitating, which was when Gordon got stuck in the wall. So a bit funny, a bit funny there. And we got Brian East as well, saying it's like getting wedged in the fence on iRacing, and indeed it is. We've got Mikhail as well. 2008 cars look sweet. The tyre update really is affecting the race for wear. Definitely, mate. From testing, even in main series, it's kind of a bit up and down. So you kind of got to really look after those tyres, but at the same time, you try not to lose pace. So it is sort of.
That's right.
It's kind of got a same thing as I said. Adapt to the situation, and we go from there. And yes, that spin will definitely be in Rick Green's mind, even with the W. Definitely, mate. I think. Even not only just because he got the win, just in general wherever you finish and hitting the wall and stuff like that in the race, it definitely takes a bit of a toll because you know you've done so hard and then you cake it all in one corner and you go from say first or second all the way down to ninth or 10th. So it's a bit hard there. I suppose some of the drivers are a bit lucky that it wasn't so congested. They were a little bit spread out.
Absolutely, and it's great to see our drivers have a very good outing in that race one. Obviously, learning from each other, just trying to make sure they're not, putting in themselves in danger. Obviously, trying to sort out themselves how each other race and learning about the racecraft. And basically, we've got Ice Nightmare, who's a late entry. I believe he might need to come into the. Shouldn't be out on track, should stay in the pit lane actually, so maybe I think it's actually funny story, interesting story that Isa Nightmare is actually Isa Benjo's sister DJ, so the family in Isa coming in and having a bit of a run in the TS3 field, so it's good to see some family, especially on Benjo's side, and Isa Nightmare making her debut in Trackstars TS3.
Yeah, that's a bit. It's good there that we see a couple of drivers coming through. Obviously, having some family coming through in Nightmare, but it looks like she crossed the pit line there, going onto into the wall. So a bit unfortunate there. But another thing as well, we have after me looking at it, the lovely GT7 here doesn't have grid order, as in from last race, so we're going to have to go with fastest first and hope to God that they set it how the race finished. So we need Nightmare to go back in the pits.
Yeah, so I'm not overly, can't really remember how the GT7 works when it comes to grid orders and stuff, because obviously they've limited us to having a guess of where people finish and where they start. So fingers crossed for Nightmare. Now she's got the message, she'll be able to jump back into the pit lane, and we might be able to get ourselves a race 2 underway in a minute's time. But in the meantime, obviously we've had Trailblazers join the chat as well, so that must be Rick Green as well. So yes, big congrats to you, my friend there, and for you and the Trailblazer boys, you've done a very good job. And obviously with taking that win, I'm guessing for yourself, Rick, you would have been taking that win in memory of WJF there. So basically you've done him proud. You've run the 18 number to victory lane in race 1, so well done, my friend, and we can't wait to see what you and some of the other guys can do for race 2 here at Dragon Trail Seaside.
Yeah, it's good to see that he did get that win there, but just for the time being, we might have to go a bit of an intermission here, just trying to see if we can work out how we do this. But I need Nightmare to go back to pits. But in the time being, everyone just stay here. We will be right back. Alright, well, we are back, and unfortunately, we can't set grids, so thankfully no one set a lap. So hopefully, fingers crossed, the GT gods will set the grid like they finished. Hopefully, but we've had some comments saying, "Yep, we just want to race." So it's good to see that they're positive here. So I'll kick this race off, and we'll get race 2 underway.
Absolutely. So fingers crossed, like you said, we get ourselves the corrected grid order where we have Rick Green on starting in first place with Meat and Cheese Pie in second, and then Hustle NZ in third. So we'll wait and see if that is the grid order come race 2 here for the TS3 Touring Cars Championship for round 1 in season 2022. As we go to the grid, we have Rick Green. No, it doesn't, unfortunately. So beautiful. It is a wonderful game. GT Sport, isn't it? GT7, is it? We'll have to figure it out how to get the grid order. But as we get those lights going, 3, 4, 5 lights as we get ourselves underway. It is lights out, green flag racing for race 2 for the TS3 Touring Cars Championships. We had a bit of a holy start there. We've got I believe it was Meat and Cheese Pie. They didn't get the start there, and Venti as well. So those boys from the back of the grid from the front towards the back there, not how they wanted to start race 2. Unfortunately, with the GT7 not allowing us to set the grids properly, but so far still leading the way is Rick Green for the Triple R Motorsport with Gator in second, Tormentor in third, CP Flatstick in fourth place, and Kamara Kid in fifth. So Rick Green is probably going to go for the double here. We'll have to wait and see. But with Gator in second place, he might be able to pose a challenge in his Lexus SC430 by coming through to the S's. We've got Rick Green for Triple R in the number 69 in first place.
Yeah, that's definitely a good start there from Rick Green. Obviously, it's been a bit of a pain with that not being able to set grids. So that's really frustrating, because now it's going to make a lot of work for us. But we work and we move. So maybe that might be a bit of a feature.
Yeah, well, I think in a way for us it's a little bit of a learning experience just to see how to set the grid. And obviously, you know, with our Formula season, we've only had the one race, so we haven't really had to worry about doing 2 or 3 races. As SS Boy goes really too deep, and his teammate follow him through. Can Meat and Cheese Pie come through with that? No, he comes a little bit worse for wear there, so not the race that Meat and Cheese Pie wanted there. And unfortunately for him, he's all the way down the back in last place. And the winners of the podium in Hustle NZ is in 7th, and Meat and Cheese, who was second in that last race, is all the way down in 13th and last place. So chaos here, and I thought race 1 was chaotic, DJ, but race 2 just seems to live up to the hype for chaos.
Yeah, that's definitely a bit chaotic there, but it's always, I suppose it's always been all SS Boy gets, whether or not it was a bit of a helping hand there from Venti, but he got on the curb, and that Honda, Epson Honda power really didn't get to the ground and spun him and put him in the wall. So a bit unfortunate there for SS Boy, obviously finishing top 8 or 7th, I think it was where he finished. Bit unfortunate starting at the back, but I guess that's GT7 and kind of got to go with the flow as it is, and have drivers kind of bear with us, because we haven't had this issue so far being only running the formulas. So it's definitely put a bit of a spanner in the works for us, but we'll work on this in between now and TS2. So
yeah, absolutely. We'll have to figure out what we can do for the TS2 boys and for round 2 of the TS3 Championship in Monza in a week's time. Oh, there's contact between Hustle and Chase, and how has Renegade gone through all of that there? That is unbelievable. You managed to avoid 2 cars spinning on the exit of the dash chicane, and he's managed to come through unscathed, and he's moved up back into 5th place. So that was a nice little escape there for Renegade, but unfortunately for Chase and for Hustle, they're back down the order in 6th and 7th place. So unfortunately for those guys, they've gone a little bit too much. And I guess in a way, I don't know, like I feel like maybe these drivers are either taking this race as a as kind of like a learning race, whether it's just learning about the drivers, or it's about whether some drivers are a little bit frustrated where they are positioned at the moment without having the grid set order to how they finished in race 1. So we'll have to wait and see. Probably there's going to be a lot of stewards reports coming in at the end of TS3, but we'll have to wait and see how that goes. But so far, with lap 3 of 10, Rick Green for the Triple R Motorsport looks like he could be doing the double this evening in the Triple R Motorsport Nissan GTR, with Gator in second place for the It's Racing Lexus in second, with Tormentor for WRT in third, Flyboarding in fourth, and Renegade in fifth place. So we've got ourselves a good mix of cars, like 7 teams, I believe that is, within the top 7 there. So that's pretty good. So basically, obviously either privateers or teams are coming in and showcasing their speed and talent, and we've got 7 of the 7 teams in the top 7, so it's great to see.
I believe there's no privateers in the top 7. Honestly, I don't think there's a privateer in TS3. No. Or Venti just getting a bit of bustlers and bars in there, but yeah, I don't think, no, there isn't. There's no privateers in TS3, so that's definitely good to see, because obviously you've got Rick Green in Triple M, which obviously runs under Triple R, sorry, my apologies, which runs under Trailblazers. Then you got Later Gator, who runs under ITS, Flyboarding under RSR, and then Tormentor under WRT, Renegade under ISR, or Ice Esports Group. Honestly, my apologies to Benjo and all of those.
Well, your name is confusing.
Yeah,
your team name is very confusing.
It's very confusing because I don't know if it's ISR or Ice Group, or yeah, I'm not too sure, man. But my apologies there. Then we've got Kamara Kid, who just looks to be he either just got sent by Gordok, or that's a really bad rejoin. Oh my lord, he runs under FR, which is actually run by a main series driver in Gridron F1. So it's gonna wait and see how some of those drivers go here. So go too wide.
Swipe my side through the S's. That's not really the best place to do it.
Oh.
Both of them are on the end of it, and they both go off on the exit of the S's there. Chase and Kamara Kid won't be happy with that outcome and result there. So Kamara Kid drops all the way down to 12th place, and Chase drops him down into the top, just in the top 10 just. Looks like Mean Cheese Pies has come through. Looks like he's picked up a 3-second there, so I wonder if he actually got a bit of a, maybe a yellow flag or something, so maybe he got himself that penalty, but something's going on with his car. He hasn't been able to get rid of that penalty, or something's going on. So I don't know, DJ. I feel like this race is very chaotic this evening. I'm not so sure how the drivers are feeling after this race. I don't know whether they're going to be frustrated with, maybe some drivers like Gator and Boarding might be very happy that they're in second and third place, but I can guess you could say the bottom half of the top 10 won't be happy with this race at all.
Yeah, that's definitely a bit of a chaotic race there, but I suppose, hey, that's touring cars for you. It always bits the chaos, granted that the cars are so close together and they're not like your Formula car. You can actually go door-to-door racing with these things, so it's pretty hectic for us, and a bit hard because we can't use replays and we don't know where to look, and I don't even know what's going on. But oh, Venti getting really loose on that curve there. But yeah, it's got a bunch of teams in this top 6 and top 7 here, so it's good to see a lot of the guys teaming up with each other, you know, bouncing driving standards and stuff like that off each other, and how to get faster, and where one driver might be faster than the other and stuff like that. So really, yeah. I know with you, is just kind of one thing you bounce off another driver, you know, alright, you're faster here, I'm faster here, you know, how do we look at it, stuff like that. So
yeah, absolutely. And I guess for these guys, they're just learning off each other, whether it's a double team in WRT, for example, or for the Ice Group racing team, as we see Renegade lose the back end of that, and my goodness, he's gone down into 6th place. So just as chaotic as it's been here, Renegade's dropped down to 7th, so 5th to 7th, so he won't be happy with that bit of that moment at the final corner there. But as we get ourselves a lap 6 of 10 as this race is about to conclude, and I guess for some of these drivers, they'll be happy for this race to conclude. They won't be happy at the end of this race, but it is Rick Green in 1st place with Gator in 2nd, Flyboarding in 3rd place, Tormentor and Hustle and Gordok, so 4th to 6th for the WRT boys. So yeah, like I was saying, so these WRT boys, for example, they might be working very hard with during the pre-season to try and extract the pace, and working together and saying, you know, like, if you're the faster driver in this section, how can I learn from you? and then another driver might be quicker all rounds compared to another driver. So it's good to see, you know, teams show big numbers in WRT especially.
Yeah, they're kind of a bit of an underdog team for me. They're just kind of really like, what do you say? You put it as like silent assassins kind of thing. You know, they just kind of keep to themselves and just put in the laps, and it really kind of just pulls off there. So it's good to see that they're up here in 4th, 5th, and 6th. So I wonder what Nightwalker would be able to do in TS2. So we'll wait and see with that coming up in just over an hour's time.
Absolutely, so we can't wait to see what the TS2 boys can do later on in an hour and a half's time, actually. So as these boys get through the track and get through their running orders at the conclusion of this race, we'll get ourselves our TS2 grid pre-qualifying underway, where we have the top 5 drivers automatic entries, I'll say, in RoboSport, Rugworth, Xylon 96. I believe Nightwalker is in there as well, and another driver that I might be missing out on. Both automatic entries for the TS2 Touring Cars Championship. Well, everyone else has to do some pre-qualifying digits, so we've got some fast drivers in the pre-qualifying stages, and obviously we might think that they might get into the top 15, but who knows? It could be one driver that might not be the fastest in TS2, might like Dragon Trail, for example, and you know, when they get to Monza next week, or they get to Spa or Red Bull Ring the following week, they might not like that track at all. So maybe it could be a one-track wonder for some of these drivers in TS2.
Yeah, honestly, after this mess that's going on, I'm not looking forward to Monza Turn 1. So I think these guys are really going to have to work either in a lobby or stuff like that, and with other cars, and how...
Oh, he's held on to that. He's made contact with the wall, but he's managed to hold on there. He's only lost 1 position to Meat and Cheese Pie in 10th place. Chase goes for a move on Kamara there, so they're continuing on their battle that they had. And Kamara Kid's just gone wide. He's dropped all the way back down to 13th and last place for the FR driver. Unlucky for Kamara Kid, was doing so well in that first race and just had a little bit of an accident there. SS Boy at the back end just not getting to grips with that Honda like he did in race 1, actually. So I think it's just a lot of frustration for the M&R driver in 13th place, and yeah, definitely a race to forget for him, for SS Boy.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a unlucky one there, obviously starting at the back. But I guess that's kind of GT7 for you, and everyone was a bit aware on how it was. But you know, we go with the flow, and we make changes to try and suit all the drivers better. So we do apologise to all these TS3 drivers that we kind of didn't really know that we couldn't set grids, and all we wanted to be wide there into the sand and spins that black Honda NSX. So bit unfortunate. But yeah, we'll definitely reconsider how we're gonna work with this. And again, we do apologise from All Series admin for this, but it's GT7 and they just can't go and be as normal, can they?
And they can't give us the correct settings that we want. You know, setting a grid. So it is a learning experience for us, to obviously having at least to do more than one race compared to what we did in our Formula season. So for us, it's a bit of a learning curve to see how we can set the grid order in Track Stars, and we're hopefully, fingers crossed, can get this sorted out at least as early as the TS2 race coming up in over an hour's time. But so far, obviously the drivers will have to make do of where they are at the moment. They'll probably make this round as their drop round, maybe at the end of round 13. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, so like we said, we do apologise to our drivers there that were starting like in 2nd and 3rd places. Hustle goes for a bit of a 360 no-scope on the exit of the right-hander at the top of the hill. Renegade might be able to get his position back. No, he doesn't, so he will stay in 6th place there. But yeah, fingers crossed we can get that sorted out for TS2. But unfortunately, it is what it is, and Rick Green is pulling away in the no fault of his own, and he's keeping a clean head. Obviously, he started the race on pole position for race 2 because he won race 1, and he looks like he might be doing that again for the final time here for TS3 round 1.
Yeah, he's definitely putting in a bit of a showing there. Obviously, starting on the front row did help him, but he's just kind of put his head down and driven away with it, getting his gap Latergator by 15 seconds. But also honourable mention here to Latergator, he's kept flyboarding at a decent amount of pace, like a gap, coming into lap 10. So I think credits due. I give credit where credit's due. Same as obviously flyboarding and Tormentor. You know,
yeah, and Gator's in the Lexus as well, so this could be something interesting.
Oh,
Oh, as you do see that.
Commentator's curse.
Oh, but he's saved it, and flyboarding is going to come right onto the back of him. Will flyboarding make the move coming into the inside of this double right-hander? He won't be able to make that move. Gator, looks like Gator might have some dirty tyres. He's now got a bit of pressure from flyboarding, but flyboarding just ran a bit wide there on the exit of that double right-hander. Looks like Gator might just have enough breathing room, but my goodness. That was a hard and mouth moment for the It's Racing driver, but a nice solid outing for Gator in second place. But as we go towards the final part of this lap, Rick Green for Triple R Motorsport just coming through, no challenges at all. No one's been able to challenge Rick Green. He might be able to get the double victory as he negotiates the final corner for the final time for round 1 for the TS3 Touring Car Championship. There's going to be the number 69 and Triple R Motorsport driver in Rick Green for Trailblazers and Triple R. Will take victory here for round 1 at the TS3 Touring Car Championship. So big congrats. But as we now look down to the battle for second place, looks like Gator's just about to hold on into second place there. Will he be able to execute? Will flyboarding go for a deep move? He was thinking about it. He put his nose on the inside line there, going for a late move, but Gator will hold on to second place with flyboarding in third and Oz Tormentor in fourth, and Hustle NZ in fifth.
Yeah,
wow, what a last count there. I thought Gator had that in the bag for second place.
Yeah, I definitely thought so as well, but good old thing, commentator's curse. It's definitely a thing.
Absolutely.
It's a bit of an up and down one, but yeah, it's definitely a thing having commentator's curse. But he kept it on the track, did a bit of a flick spin, changed down a couple of gears and get the power down, and he kept that second spot. So good on him. Obviously, racing is racing and you go there, but not only did he stay in second, it's kind of got to keep it on the track and keep it in second as well. So as much as he got it from just kind of cars being involved in incidents, he also kept it there too. So he didn't make any mistakes, kind of kept his head down and put in some solo laps while he had flyboarding and Tormentor breathing down his neck. So honourable mention to him. Obviously he's not exactly as fast as some other drivers, but he looks to be pretty consistent. So I'll definitely be pretty happy to see what he can pull out of there. So as we just come past the back of the one, we've got Gordock 69 in 7th, NZR Coldboy in 8th, Meat and Cheese Pie in 9th, Venti coming through in 10th, so a little bit of a decent recovery there from him. Kamara Kid in 11th, SS Boy in 12th, and CP Flatstick in 13th. So we'll on that note, that is the second race of the TS3 done, and it was a bit of a clean sweep there for Rick Green. So Woodsy, if you're watching, mate, get the trap card out. First round, mate. We couldn't even go first round.
Straight away, he's got to get himself the clean sweep trap card for Rick Green and Trailblazers and Triple R. So, big congrats to Rick Green. Obviously, he's done himself the best job that he could possibly do, and he's done himself a victory. He's got himself 2 victories and obviously a pole position for that first race. So, big congrats to him and to all of our drivers this evening as well. So, obviously, we do apologise for that second race not being as it should, but we'll hopefully get that fixed up for the next round onwards. And fingers crossed, we might be able to have a bit of a decent showing for Monza for round 2 of the TS3 Touring Car Championship. But like we said, DJ, TS3 is a learning curve, and it's all about just trying to learn from each other and just learn how they drive, or learn how people drive. Because it is a learning series, and obviously these guys have to try and learn from each other on how they race and whether you can send moves on the inside or outside.
Yeah, obviously getting used to different drivers and stuff like that, it's a little bit hard knowing where they're going to go and what they're going to do. So it's a bit unfortunate how some of it ended, but that's kind of how racing goes, I guess. You can't have everything go your way in racing, and we just go with the flow, see what happens, and we will kind of redress on how we're going to get this two races sorted out, with obviously the no grid allocation and stuff like that. So everyone can just bear with us for now. We will get onto this quick smart, and we'll get that race 2 sorted. So we do thank everyone for bearing with us, and jumping in stream and stuff like that. It's good to see we've got some supporters in here. We do have, from what I can see, we've currently got 15 viewers, so that's definitely a good showing for the first round.
Yep,
We
absolutely. So, that's them thanks for tuning in. So we can't wait to see what we can do for round 2 of the TS3 Touring Car Championship. But what we do know, DJ, 2 out of 2 for Rick Green. Big congrats to him and his team. But I think for now we might have to get ourselves ready for TS2, and obviously get our pre-qualifying lobby sorted out, and we might be able to see who are the top 15 that will race for round 1 of the TS2 Touring Car Championship. But for now, we'll leave it to you, and we'll see you back in an hour's time for the TS2